Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something bigger than colonizing Mars, more complex than building a neural network to merge humans with AI, and, frankly, just as exhilarating as launching a Falcon Heavy into orbit. I'm talking about understanding the mind of a woman and the wild, unpredictable, universe-altering force we call love. Now, I know what you're thinking, Elon, you've tackled black holes and electric cars, but this is uncharted territory. And you're right. For years, I thought women were a mystery deeper than the voids between galaxies. But here's the truth I've learned, and I'm going to share it with you today. Understanding women isn't about cracking some impossible code. It's about seeing the world through their eyes, embracing the challenge with the same relentless curiosity we bring to science, innovation, and progress. It's about unlocking not just their minds, but the potential within ourselves to connect, to grow, and to live boldly. Let me take you back to a moment in my life. I was sitting in my office at SpaceX, staring at a whiteboard filled with equations for orbital trajectories. My team was arguing about fuel efficiency, and I was laser focused on getting a rocket to defy gravity. But in the back of my mind, there was another puzzle I couldn't solve via conversation I'd had the night before with someone I cared about. She was trying to tell me something, not just with words, but with her eyes, her tone, the way she leaned in. I missed it completely. I was so caught up in my own head and my own mission that I didn't see the signals. That's when it hit me. Understanding a woman's mind is like designing a spacecraft. You can't just focus on the big obvious parts, the engines, the structure. You have to pay attention to every detail, every subtle component, every interaction that makes the whole system work. And when you do, you don't just build a machine, you create something that soars. So, why does this matter? Why should we care about the psychology of women and love? Because, my friends, this isn't just about relationships. It's about who we are as human beings. It's about breaking through the barriers that hold us back: fear, misunderstanding, ego, and building connections that make life worth living. It's about taking the same audacity we use to dream of interplanetary civilizations and applying it to the people right in front of us. If we can dream of cities on Mars, we can damn well dream of understanding the person we love. And let me tell you, the payoff is just as extraordinary. Let's start with something fundamental, something that sets the stage for everything else. After intimacy, after those moments of raw human connection, women and men often want different things. Women crave closeness, a continuation of that bond. They want to talk, to touch, to feel the connection linger like the afterglow of a star. Men, we're more likely to roll over, shut down, and catch some sleep. It's not because we don't care, it's because our brains are wired differently, like two systems running parallel code with different outputs. I remember reading a study that said women's oxytocin levels, that bonding hormone, spike after intimacy, pulling them toward emotional connection. Men, on the other hand, get a dopamine hit and often just want to reboot. It's biology, not a flaw. But here's where it gets interesting. When you understand this difference, you can bridge the gap. You can choose to stay present, to lean into that moment, to show up, not just physically, but emotionally. It's like adjusting the trajectory of a rocket mid-flight. One small correction can change the entire course. This isn't about giving up who you are. It's about seeing the bigger picture. Think about it. At SpaceX, we don't just build rockets to go up and come down. We build them to land, to be reused, to create a sustainable future. Relationships are the same way. You don't just aim for the moment of connection, you aim for something that lasts, something that evolves. And that starts with understanding what drives her, what makes her feel seen. When a woman feels truly understood, it's like igniting a fusion reactor. It sets off a chain reaction of trust, intimacy, and possibility. I've seen it in my own life, in the moments when I stopped trying to solve the puzzle and started listening, really listening to what was being said and what wasn't. Now, let's talk about the mindset you need to make this happen. If you want to understand a woman's mind, you have to approach it like a scientist, an explorer, a pioneer. You can't be afraid of the unknown. When I started Tesla, people told me electric cars were a pipe dream. When I founded SpaceX, they said private spaceflight was impossible. And when I launched Neuralink, they called it science fiction. But every time I looked at the challenge and said, what's the first principle here? What's the truth we can build from? The same applies to understanding women. Strip away the assumptions, the stereotypes, the noise. Ask yourself, what does she value? What makes her feel alive? What's the signal behind the words, the gestures, the silence? And then, like any good engineer, iterate. Try, fail, learn, try again. That's how you build something extraordinary. Here's a truth I've learned. Women are driven by connection, by meaning, by the feeling that they're part of something bigger. When you show up with that same energy, when you treat love like a mission, not a transaction, you unlock something powerful. I'm not saying it's easy. Hell, building a reusable rocket took us years of crashes, explosions, and sleepless nights. But every failure taught us something. Every setback made us sharper. The same goes for relationships. You're going to miss signals, you're going to miscalculate. But if you keep showing up, keep learning, keep pushing forward with the same tenacity you'd bring to a world-changing idea, you'll get there. And when you do, it's like stepping onto the surface of a new planet. The view is breathtaking. Let me give you a practical example. Women often communicate in ways that go beyond words. It's not just what they say, it's how they say it. The tilt of their head, the way they linger on a word, the pause before they answer, these are data points like the telemetry we get from a spacecraft. Ignore them, and you're flying blind. Pay attention, and you start to see the pattern. I remember a moment when I was working on the Boring Company, digging tunnels to revolutionize transportation. I was obsessed with efficiency, with cutting through the noise to get to the core of the problem. One evening, I was talking to someone special, and she was telling me about her day. I was half listening, nodding while my brain was still in tunnel mode. She stopped, looked at me, and said, "You're not here." 3 words, but they hit like a meteor. She wasn't just talking about that moment, she was telling me she needed me to be present, to see her, to connect. That was a wake-up call. From then on, I started treating those moments like mission-critical launches. I showed up not just with my body, but with my mind, my heart, my focus. And let me tell you, it changed everything. So, what's the vision here? It's not just about understanding women's minds, it's about using that understanding to build a life that's bigger, bolder, more connected. It's about taking the same energy we use to push the boundaries of technology, science, and human potential and applying it to the people we love. Because at the end of the day, what's the point of colonizing Mars if we can't connect with the person sitting next to us? What's the point of building a future if we're not building it together? Love, connection, understanding, these are the fuels that power a life worth living. They're the reason we get out of bed, the reason we dream, the reason we keep pushing forward even when the odds are stacked against us. I want you to walk away from this moment with a fire in your chest. Don't just listen to what I'm saying, act on it. Approach the women in your life with the same curiosity you'd bring to a scientific breakthrough. Ask questions, listen to the answers, pay attention to the details, and don't be afraid to fail. Failure is just data, it's feedback, it's the universe telling you how to get better. When we launched the first Falcon one, it blew up. The second blew up. The third, you guessed it, boom. But we kept going, and on the fourth try, we made history. That's what I want for you. Keep going, keep learning, keep loving. Because when you do, you're not just understanding a woman's mind, you're building a connection that can change your life, her life, and maybe even the world. So, here's my challenge to you. Starting today, treat every interaction like it's a mission. Whether it's a conversation, a glance, a moment of silence, show up like it's the launch of your life. Be present, be curious, be fearless. Because the truth is, the mind of a woman isn't a mystery to be solved, it's a universe to be explored. And you, my friends, are the pioneers. Let's make it happen. Let's build something extraordinary. Let's love like we're changing the damn universe because, in a way, we are. All right, folks, buckle up. We've just blasted off into the cosmos of understanding women's minds, and now we're diving into something even more intricate, more dynamic, and frankly, more exhilarating than fine-tuning a starship for lunar orbit. I'm talking about the language of the body, the unspoken signals, the subtle cues, the invisible data streams that women send out every day, every moment, in every interaction. This isn't just about reading a glance or a gesture. It's about mastering the art of connection, the kind of connection that can light up a room, a relationship, or even your entire life. If you thought building a gigafactory was complex, wait until you see the engineering marvel that is human communication. Let's dive in, because this is where the real magic happens. Picture this. I'm at a SpaceX control room, screens blazing with telemetry data from a Falcon 9 launch. Every number, every spike, every anomaly tells a story. One missed signal, and we're off course. One misread, and we're crashing. Now, imagine a conversation with a woman you care about. She's talking, sure, but her body, it's sending a flood of data, her eyes, her hands, the way she shifts her weight. It's like a satellite beaming information straight to you. And if you're not tuned in, you're going to miss the whole damn mission. I learned this the hard way. Early in my career, I was so focused on equations and deadlines that I'd sit across from someone special and completely blank on the signals she was sending. A tilted head, a quick smile, a pause that lingered just a second too long, I'd miss them all. It was like trying to land a rocket without a guidance system. Spoiler alert, it didn't end well. Here's the truth. Women communicate on a level that goes way beyond words. It's not just what they say, it's how they move, how they look at you, how they don't look at you. And let me tell you, once you start paying attention, it's like unlocking a new dimension. You ever watch a Tesla navigate a busy street? Sensors everywhere, picking up every obstacle, every shift, every possibility. That's what you need to be in a conversation, in a relationship, in love. You need to be a human sensor dialed into the signals that matter. And trust me, those signals are there loud and clear if you know where to look. Let's break it down. One of the most powerful signals is eye contact. When a woman holds your gaze, it's like a green light on a launch pad. It's a sign of interest, of connection, of something sparking. I read somewhere that prolonged eye contact releases oxytocin, the same hormone that bonds mothers to their babies. That's not just chemistry, that's rocket fuel for a relationship. But when she avoids your eyes, when she looks away or down, it's a red flag. It's her body saying, I'm not in this moment. I've been there, sitting across from someone, thinking we're on the same page, only to see her eyes drift to the side. It's a gut punch, but it's also data. It's feedback. It's the universe telling you to recalibrate, to check your approach, to figure out what's off. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't about playing a game or cracking a code. It's about showing up with intention. Women notice when you notice, they pick up on whether you're really there, really seeing them. I remember a moment when I was working on Neuralink, trying to map the human brain to machines. I was obsessed with signals, neurons firing, impulses traveling. One night I was out with someone and she was telling me about her day. I was nodding, but my brain was still in the lab, wiring circuits in my head. She reached out, touched my hand, and gave me this look, not angry, not sad, just expectant. It hit me like a bolt. She wasn't just talking, she was inviting me into her world. Her hand, her eyes, the way she leaned in it was all saying, be here with me. That moment changed how I approached relationships. I started treating every interaction like a high stakes mission, where every signal mattered. Let's talk about some specifics. Women use their bodies to communicate in ways that are subtle but profound. A woman playing with her hair, that's not just a random habit. It's a signal, often unconscious, of comfort, interest, or even attraction. It's like a telemetry ping saying, I'm engaged. Or take the way she points her feet. If they're aimed at you, she's in. If they're turned away, she's already halfway out the door. I know it sounds like I'm overanalyzing, but hear me out. At Tesla, we obsess over every detail down to the curve of a door handle because details drive outcomes. The same applies here. The tilt of her shoulders, the way she crosses her arms, the distance she stands from you, these are the details that tell you where you stand, what she feels, and how to move forward. Here's where it gets practical. You want to connect? Start by mirroring her energy. If she's leaning in, lean in. If she's animated, match her vibe. It's not about mimicking, it's about syncing up like two satellites aligning in orbit. And don't just listen with your ears, watch your hands. Are they open, expressive? She's comfortable. Are they closed? Fidgety, she's guarded. I found that when you respond to these signals, when you show you're paying attention, it's like flipping a switch. She feels seen, and that's when the real connection starts. I've had moments where a simple nod, a well-timed smile, or just holding her gaze a second longer turned a conversation from ordinary to electric. It's not magic, it's engineering applied to human interaction. But let's talk about the bigger picture, because this isn't just about reading signals, it's about what those signals teach us about ourselves. Paying attention to a woman's body language forces you to get out of your own head. It makes you present, focused, alive, in the moment. That's a skill that doesn't just improve your relationships, it transforms your life. When I'm designing a new system at SpaceX, I don't just think about the tech. I think about the people who use it, the lives it'll change. That's what connection's about. Stepping outside your own orbit and into someone else's. It's about building something bigger than yourself, whether that's a company, a mission, or a love that lasts. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Elon, this sounds like a lot of work. Can't I just say what I feel and call it a day? Sure, you can. But that's like launching a rocket without a flight plan. You might get off the ground, but you're not going to Mars. Connection takes effort, just like innovation does. When we built the first Tesla Roadster, we didn't just slap some batteries in a car and hope for the best. We obsessed over every component, every curve, every user experience. Relationships are the same. You have to put in the work watch, learn, adjust, and let me tell you, the payoff is worth it. When you get it right, when you sync up with her signals, it's like nailing a booster landing after a perfect launch. The crowd goes wild, and you know you've done something extraordinary. Here's a challenge I want you to take on. The next time you're talking to a woman, whether it's your partner, your friend, or someone you just met, don't just hear her words. Watch her. Notice the way her eyes light up when she talks about something she loves. Catch the way her shoulders relax when she feels safe. See the flicker of hesitation when she's unsure. And then respond, not just with words, but with your presence. Lean in when she leans in. Smile when she smiles. Hold her gaze like it's the only thing in the universe that matters. Because in that moment it is. That's how you build trust. That's how you build connection. That's how you build something that can withstand the chaos of life. Let me leave you with this. At SpaceX, we don't just aim for the stars, we aim to make humanity a multi-planetary species. That's a big, audacious goal, and it starts with small, deliberate steps. Understanding a woman's body language is one of those steps. It's a skill that sharpens your awareness, hones your empathy, and makes you a better human being. It's not about winning her over, it's about meeting her where she is, about creating a moment where two people can truly see each other. And when you do that, you're not just connecting with her, you're connecting with the best version of yourself. You're building a life that's richer, fuller, more alive. So go out there and start paying attention. Be the sensor, not the noise. Be the signal, not the static. Treat every glance, every gesture, every moment like it's part of a mission to change the world, because in a way it is. The universe is vast, but the real frontier is right in front of you. Let's conquer it one connection at a time. All right, people, let's shift gears and go deeper than a Neuralink probe mapping the human brain, deeper than a starship diving into the atmosphere of Mars. We're talking about love, not as some soft, fluffy concept, but as a revolution, a force that can reshape your life, your purpose, and the world around you. Love is the ultimate high-stakes mission, and like any mission worth pursuing, it comes with a formidable adversary, the fear of loneliness. Today, we're going to confront that fear head-on, dismantle it, and turn it into fuel for a life lived boldly, passionately, and without regret. This is about more than understanding women's mindsets, about understanding what drives us all, what holds us back, and how to break free to build something extraordinary. Let's launch. I'll start with a confession. There was a time in my life when loneliness felt like a black hole, pulling me in, threatening to swallow everything I was working for. I was building companies, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, SpaceX, Tesla, the boring company, but in the quiet moments when the screens went dark and the teams went home, I felt it. That gnawing sense of being alone. It's not something I talked about. Hell, it's not something most of us talk about, but it's real and it's universal. I've learned that loneliness isn't the enemy, it's a teacher. It's the universe holding up a mirror, forcing you to face yourself, your fears, your desires. And if you listen, if you lean into it, it can teach you how to love not just someone else, but the life you're building. Let's talk about women and love, because this is where the revolution starts. Women, in my experience, feel the weight of connectioner, the lack of iton, a profound level. There's a truth I've seen, something that resonates across countless conversations, studies, and moments of raw honesty. When women feel disconnected for too long, they can start to accept isolation as normal. It's like a spacecraft drifting off course, slowly adapting to the wrong trajectory. But deep down, there's a fear of being truly alone, of missing out on the kind of love that lights up the sky. That fear can paralyze, holding them back from their full potential, just like it can hold any of us back. I've seen it in myself, in the moments when I let doubt creep in, when I wondered if the risks I was taking, personal, professional, emotional, were worth it. Spoiler, they were. Here's the thing about fear. It's a signal, not a sentence. When I started SpaceX, everyone said it was crazy. Private spaceflight, reusable rockets, impossible. But every time we failed, every explosion, every crash, I saw it as data, not defeat. Love is no different. The fear of loneliness, the fear of rejection, the fear of getting it wrong, they're just data points telling you where to adjust, where to push harder. Women especially are wired for connection, for meaning. When you understand that, you realize that love isn't just a feeling, it's a call to action. It's a challenge to show up, to be vulnerable, to risk failure for the chance at something greater. And that, my friends, is where the revolution begins. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're designing a mission to Mars. You've got the tech, the team, the vision, but there's a problem. The path is littered with unknown asteroids, radiation, uncharted terrain. Do you scrap the mission? Hell no. You plot the course, you build redundancies, you prepare for the worst and aim for the best. Love is that mission. It's not about avoiding the risks, it's about embracing them. I've had moments in my life where I hesitated, where I let the fear of being alone keep me from diving into a relationship, from opening up. I thought, if I focus on the work, on the mission, I won't have to deal with the messiness of love. But here's what I learned. Love isn't a distraction from the mission. It's part of it. It's the fuel that keeps you going when the odds are stacked against you. Women, in particular, bring a perspective to love that's like a master engineer bringing a new design to the table. They see the big picture connection, trust, growth, but they also feel the details, the moments that make or break a bond. I've noticed that when a woman loves, she loves with intention, with a depth that can be both inspiring and intimidating. It's like watching a perfectly calibrated system come online, every part working in harmony. But that system needs input, it needs engagement. If you show up half-hearted, if you let fear dictate your moves, you're not just failing her, you're failing yourself. You're letting the mission crash before it even leaves the ground. Let's talk about how this ties to conquering loneliness. Loneliness isn't just about being physically alone, it's about feeling disconnected, unseen, unvalued. For women, that disconnection can hit hard, especially in a world that often demands they be everything to everyone. I've read that prolonged loneliness can make people retreat, build walls, accept isolation as a default. But the fear of loneliness, that's the real kicker. It's what keeps us from taking risks, from saying what we feel, from chasing the kind of love that could change everything. I've been there, standing on the edge of a decision, wondering if opening up was worth the potential pain. And every time I chose to leap, even when it hurt, I grew. I became sharper, stronger, more human. This is where love becomes a revolution. Love demands that you face your fears, that you step into the unknown with the same audacity you'd bring to a world-changing idea. When I launched Tesla, people laughed. Electric cars, in a world of gas guzzlers. But I saw a future where we could drive sustainably, where we could rethink transportation from first principles. Love is the same. It's about rethinking connection from the ground up. It's about saying, I'm not going to let fear of loneliness keep me from building something extraordinary with this person. It's about taking the risk, knowing that even if you fail, you'll learn, you'll iterate, you'll come back stronger. Here's a practical angle. Women thrive on emotional presence. When you show up not just physically, but with your heart, your mind, your full attention, it's like hitting the ignition on a rocket. I remember a moment when I was deep in a Neuralink project, my brain tangled in code and circuits. I was sitting with someone I cared about, and she was sharing something important, a dream, a worry, I can't even recall now. But I was only half there, nodding while my mind was elsewhere. She stopped, looked at me, and said, I need you to hear me. It wasn't just about that moment. It was about her needing to know I was in it with her, that I was willing to face the vulnerability of being fully present. That was a turning point. From then on, I started treating love like a high-stakes project. You don't just show up for the easy parts. You show up for the hard ones, the messy ones, the ones that make you feel exposed. That's where the breakthroughs happen. So, how do you conquer the fear of loneliness? You treat it like any other challenge. You break it down, you analyze it, you act. Step one, acknowledge the fear. Don't run from it. Name it. Say, I'm afraid of being alone, of getting hurt, of failing. Step two, reframe it. Fear is just energy, like the thrust of a rocket. You can let it burn you up, or you can channel it into motion. Step three, take action, reach out, open up. Tell someone how you feel, even if it's messy, even if it's scary. Um, I've found that the moments when I've been most vulnerable, when I've said the thing I was terrified to say, those are the moments that changed my life. They're the moments that turned a spark into a flame, a connection into something unstoppable. Let me give you a vision to hold on to. Imagine a world where we don't let fear of loneliness hold us back, where we love with the same boldness we bring to our biggest dreams, where we build relationships that are as ambitious, as innovative, as the missions we're chasing in technology, in space, in progress, That's the revolution I'm talking about. It's not just about finding love, it's about creating it, nurturing it, fighting for it. It's about refusing to settle for a life of isolation when you could have a life of connection, of meaning, of impact. Here's my challenge to you. Today, take one step toward conquering your fear of loneliness. Maybe it's a conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a truth you've been holding back. Maybe it's just reaching out to someone and saying, I'm here. Whatever it is, do it. Don't wait for the perfect moment because perfect moments don't exist, just like perfect rocket launches don't exist. You launch anyway, you adjust mid flight, you make it work. Love is no different. It's messy, it's risky, it's terrifying, but it's also the most human thing we do. It's what makes us more than just machines, more than just dreamers. It's what makes us revolutionaries. So go out there and start your revolution. Face the fear, embrace the risk, love like it's the mission of your life because, in a way, it is. The universe is watching and it's rooting for you. Let's make it happen. Let's build a future where love isn't just a feeling, but a force that changes everything. All right, folks, strap in. We're about to take a hard pivot into the mechanics of human connection, the raw, unfiltered science that powers love, attraction, and the spark that makes relationships ignite. This isn't some touchy-feely pep talk. This is about understanding the machinery of desire, the biology of pleasure, and the engineering of compatibility with the same precision we'd use to design a Tesla battery pack or a Starship thruster. Love isn't just poetry, it's physics, it's chemistry, it's a system you can optimize if you're willing to put in the work. Today, we're diving into the science of what makes women tick, why compatibility is mission critical, and how you can use this knowledge to build a connection that's not just good, but world changing. Let's fire up the engines and get to it. Let me start with a story. Back when I was obsessing over the first Tesla Roadster, we hit a wall. The battery wasn't delivering the range we needed, and every tweak we made seemed to break something else. I remember staring at the data, frustrated, until it hit me. We weren't just building a car, we were building a system where every part, battery, motor, software had to work in perfect harmony. Love is like that. It's not about one flashy feature, one grand gesture. It's about compatibility, about aligning every component to create something that hums, that accelerates, that takes you farther than you thought possible. And when it comes to women understanding the science of their pleasure and what drives their connection is like finding the perfect power to weight ratio. Get it right and you're cruising. Get it wrong and you're stuck on the side of the road. Let's talk biology, because that's where it all starts. Women's bodies are wired for pleasure in ways that are both intricate and awe-inspiring, like a neural network designed by the universe itself. Take the orgasm, nature's ultimate feedback loop. For women, it's not just a moment, it's a cascade lasting on average 4 times longer than a man's. I read a study that said the female orgasm triggers a flood of oxytocin and endorphins, creating a bonding effect that's like the glue holding a spacecraft together during reentry. But here's the kicker. Pleasure for women isn't just about one switch. It's about multiple inputs, physical, emotional, contextual. For some, it's the stimulation of erogenous zones like the breasts or neck. For others, it's the timing, the trust, the connection. There's even data saying 1% of women can reach climax through breast stimulation alone. That's not a quirk, it's a testament to the complexity of the system we're working with. Now, let's zoom in on compatibility because this is where the rubber meets the road. I've seen stats that say 80% of women evaluate sexual compatibility before committing to a long-term relationship, like engineers testing a prototype before full production, and they're right to do it. Compatibility isn't just about chemistry, it's about alignment, about two systems that amplify each other instead of clashing. Think about it. At SpaceX, we don't just slap any engine on a rocket. We choose the one that matches the mission, profile, power, efficiency, reliability. In love, it's the same. Women are looking for someone whose energy, whose approach, whose rhythm syncs with theirs. It's not about being perfect, it's about being the right fit. I've had moments in my life where I thought attraction was enough, only to realize that without compatibility, without that deeper alignment, things fall apart faster than a bad weld on a pressure tank. Here's where it gets practical. Pleasure and compatibility start with understanding the inputs. Women's bodies respond to a range of stimuli, and timing matters. For example, during ovulation, a woman's sensitivity to pleasure spikes, like a sensor picking up a stronger signal. Her hormones are screaming, now's the time, and her body is primed for connection. I'm not saying you need a biology degree, but paying attention to these rhythms like you pay attention to a launch window can make all the difference. And it's not just physical. Emotional connection is the software that runs the hardware. A woman who feels safe, seen, and valued is like a rocket with a fully charged battery. She's ready to soar. I've learned this the hard way. There were times I showed up thinking physical presence was enough, only to realize I needed to bring my emotional A game too. It's like forgetting to update the firmware before a launch. Good luck getting off the ground. Let's talk about the male side of the equation because compatibility is a two-way street. Men's bodies are built for action, producing 1,500 sperm with every heartbeat, like a factory running 24/7s. But here's the thing, women aren't looking for a factory. They're looking for a partner who understands their needs, who can match their intensity. I've read that women tend to prefer male anatomy in the 3 to 4 inch range, because bigger is better, but because fit matters more than flash. It's like choosing a rocket booster. You don't need the biggest one, you need the one that gets the job done efficiently. This is a lesson in humility, but also in focus. It's not about what you bring to the table, it's about how you use it to create a shared experience, a shared mission. Now, let's pull back and look at the bigger picture, because this isn't just about biology, it's about what the science of pleasure teaches us about ourselves. Understanding a woman's body, her desires, her rhythms, forces you to master your own. It's like training for a high stakes mission. At Tesla, we don't just build cars, we optimize every system for performance, from the battery to the user interface. In love, you need to optimize yourself, your presence, your attention, your emotional bandwidth. I've had moments where I was so caught up in work, say, debugging a Neuralink algorithm that I forgot to check in with the person I cared about. The result? A disconnect, like a circuit breaking. But when I started treating my relationships like a design challenge, focusing on the inputs and outputs, everything changed. I started showing up fully, not just as a problem solver, but as a partner. Here's the truth I've learned. Pleasure is a feedback loop, and compatibility is the amplifier. When you get it right, it's like hitting the sweet spot in a rocket launch. Everything aligns, and you're soaring. But it takes work. It takes observation, iteration, and a willingness to fail. I remember a time when I was trying to impress someone with grand gestures, fancy dinners, big plans only, to realize she didn't want flash. She wanted presence, consistency, connection. It was like over-engineering a solution when all you needed was a simple, elegant design. From then on, I focused on the fundamentals: listening, responding, showing up. It's not rocket science, but it's close. Let's talk health, because this is where the science gets real. Regular intimacy doesn't just feel good, it's good for you. Studies show it boosts the immune system, reduces stress, even lowers blood pressure. It's like maintenance for your body's operating system, keeping the circuits firing smoothly. And for women, the benefits are even more pronounced. Frequent connection can enhance their vitality, their confidence, their sense of self. It's like charging a battery to full capacity. She's ready to take on the world. I've seen this in my own life, in the moments when I prioritize connection over chaos. It's not just about the act, it's about the ripple effect, the way it strengthens both of you, makes you sharper, more resilient, more alive. So, how do you apply this? Start by treating love like a system you're designing. Study the inputs, what makes her feel valued, what lights her up. Experiment, but with intention. Maybe it's a touch, a word, a moment of undivided attention. Pay attention to the output, her reactions, her energy, her signals, and don't be afraid to iterate. At SpaceX, we don't nail a landing on the first try. We crash, we analyze, we rebuild. Love is the same. You'll miss the mark sometimes. You'll misread a need or overplay a move. But every misstep is data, a chance to get better, to fine tune the system until it sings. Here's my challenge to you: approach compatibility like an engineer. Don't just chase sparks, build a connection that lasts. Pay attention to her rhythms, her needs, her signals. Optimize your own system, your presence, your empathy, your focus, and don't settle for good enough. Aim for extraordinary, like you're designing the next breakthrough in human connection. Because that's what love is: a breakthrough, a leap, a chance to create something that defies gravity. So go out there and start engineering. Treat every moment like it's part of a mission to build a connection that's stronger, smarter, more powerful than anything you've known. The science is clear, the data is in now, it's up to you to make it happen. Let's design a future where love isn't just a feeling, but a force that propels us forward, together, to places we never thought we could reach. Here we are, folks, at the edge of the frontier, not just the frontier of understanding women's minds or unraveling the science of love, but the frontier of what it means to be human, to live a life that burns bright, to love with the kind of intensity that could power a civilization on Mars. This isn't the end of our journey. It's the launch pad for something bigger, bolder, and more audacious than anything we've tackled so far. Today, we're not just talking about connection or compatibility, we're talking about living fully, loving fiercely, and turning every moment into a mission that changes the trajectory of your life. This is the revolution I've been building toward, and I'm calling on every one of you to strap in, ignite the engines, and make it happen. Let's go all in. Let me start with a truth that's hit me harder than a Falcon Heavy booster landing. Life is short and it's fragile. I've spent my career chasing the impossible electric cars when gas ruled the world, reusable rockets when NASA said it couldn't be done, neural interfaces to merge our minds with machines. But no matter how many planets we colonize or how many gigafactories we build, there's one truth that grounds us all. We're here for a blink, a fleeting moment in the cosmic timeline. And in that moment, what matters most isn't the code you write or the rockets you launch, it's the people you love, the connections you forge, the way you make them feel alive. I've had nights staring at the stars, wondering if I'm doing enough, if I'm living enough. And every time the answer comes back to love. Love is the fuel that makes the mission worth it. Women in particular have a way of reminding us what it means to live fully. Their minds, their hearts, their capacity for connection. It's like a starship designed for exploration, wired to seek meaning, to build bonds that defy time. I've learned that when a woman loves, she doesn't just give you her heart, she gives you a challenge to show up, to match her intensity, to live as fiercely as she does. There's a wisdom in that, a call to action that's as urgent as any deadline I've faced at SpaceX. I read once that people who live fully, who embrace every moment, are ready to face death at any time, not because they're reckless, but because they've squeezed every drop of meaning from life. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for myself. To live so fully, to love so fiercely that we leave this world with no regrets, only a trail of light behind us. Let's talk about what it means to live fully. It's not about checking boxes, marriage, kids, a corner office. It's about showing up for the moments that matter, the ones that make your heart race and your soul hum. I've had times in my life where I was so buried in work, say, troubleshooting a Tesla production line or debugging a Neuralink implant that I forgot to look up to see the person standing right in front of me. I'd be physically there, but my mind was on Mars. And then, in a quiet moment, someone would say something, a laugh, a story, a truth, and it would hit me like a meteor. This is it. This is what life is about. The look in her eyes, the warmth of her voice, the way she made me feel like I was part of something bigger. That's when I realized living fully isn't about doing more. It's about being more present, more open, more human. Now, let's talk about loving fiercely, because this is where the revolution catches fire. Loving fiercely isn't about grand gestures or Hollywood romance. It's about the kind of love that's relentless, like the drive to land a rocket on a drone ship in the middle of the ocean. It's about showing up day after day, even when it's hard, even when you're scared, even when you're not sure you're enough. Women, I've found, have a knack for this kind of love. They love with intention, with depth, with a clarity that can cut through the noise of life. I've seen it in the way they hold space for you, the way they challenge you to be better, the way they remind you what's at stake. And let me tell you, when you match that energy, when you love with the same ferocity, it's like igniting a fusion reactor. The energy is unstoppable. Here's a moment that stuck with me. I was in the middle of a brutal week juggling SpaceX launches and Tesla deadlines. I was running on fumes, my brain a tangle of numbers and timelines. I sat down with someone I cared about, and she was talking about something small, a book she'd read, a dream she had. I was half listening, nodding on autopilot. Then she stopped, reached for my hand, and said, I need you to be here, not just for me, but for you. It wasn't a demand, it was a wake-up call. She was telling me to live fully, to love fiercely, to stop treating life like a problem to solve, and start treating it like a mission to embrace. That moment changed me. I started showing up differently, not just for her, but for myself, for the life I wanted to build. It was like recalibrating a satellite to lock onto a new signal, one that guided me towards something real. Let's get practical, because revolutions don't happen on wishes, they happen on action. To live fully, you need to strip away the noise, turn off the distractions, the endless scroll, the mental clutter. Focus on the person in front of you, the moment you're in. Ask yourself, what makes me feel alive? What makes her feel alive? And then chase that, like you'd chase a breakthrough in quantum computing. To love fiercely, you need to be fearless not in the absence of fear, but in spite of it. Say the thing you're afraid to say, take the risk you're scared to take. Show up, even when it's messy, even when it's raw. I've found that the moments when I've been most vulnerable, when I've let someone see the real me, flaws, and all those, are the moments that built the strongest connections. They're the moments that turned a spark into a supernova. Here's where it ties back to women's minds and love. Women have a way of sensing when you're all in, when you're living and loving with everything you've got. They notice the effort, the intention, the way you show up. I've learned that when you bring that kind of energy, when you treat love like a mission, not a side project, it unlocks something powerful. It's like hitting the perfect trajectory for a Mars landing. Everything aligns and you're in sync. Women respond to that. They meet you there with their own fire, their own passion, and together you create something that's bigger than either of you, a connection that's not just personal, but universal, a force that ripples out and changes the world. Let's talk about the stakes, because this is bigger than you or me. If we're going to build a future worth living in a future with cities on Mars, with sustainable energy, with humans pushing the boundaries of what's possible, we need to start with love. Love is the foundation, the spark that drives us to create, to innovate, to endure. Without it, we're just machines grinding through the motions. With it, we're something more: dreamers, builders, revolutionaries. I've said before that the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you figure out why. For me, love is a big part of that why. It's what keeps me going when the failures pile up, when the critics get loud, when the path ahead looks impossible. It's what reminds me that every mission, every dream is about people, about connection, about meaning, about leaving the universe better than we found it. Here's my final challenge to you. Don't just love love like you're building an empire. Love like you're launching a rocket to the stars. Love like every moment is a chance to create a masterpiece. Start today. Reach out to someone you care about. Tell them what they mean to you. Show them you're in it fully, fiercely, without holding back. And don't stop there. Live every day with that same intensity.